what I've done differently moving to Thailand if I had to do it all over again. Jason here on how to move to Thailand. Me and my partner, we have been here for well over 9 years, and I would like to jump right into the topic. And so, first thing have come to mind, what I would have done differently, I would have done my research a bit more. I would have researched deeper and not just gone by, videos I see and unfortunately, most information that you get out there, everything seems to be, rosy daisy. Everything is all good. It's amazing having things figured out. Great. Just living this wonderful life, here in Thailand. For me, understanding most thing that I see online is not real. Those people, they're not really living here long term and they're just in and out. And for me, understanding that, and it took me to unfortunately getting here to understand like, hey, things don't work like that. So first thing is I would have, done a bit more research to understanding how things work. How can you be here long term? Number two that comes to mind, well, first of all is I was working a remote job. I've been remote for quite some time, but unfortunately, I've lost that job. This was quite a few years ago when I was making the leap, moving here, as a digital nomad. And I found myself, I lost a job and I'm like, hey, what the hell I'm going to do? Because we don't plan for these things, right? Like saying like, hey, this is not, I don't own this company, right? If they decide to say, hey, things ain't working out, and guess what? And now left me vulnerable trying to figure things out, say what's next, right? Because we don't plan for these things. What happens if I lose my job? What I'm going to do to support myself, to sustain myself, that I could continue to, thrive, right? And kind of live, here in Thailand. So that was a eye-opening situation for myself. And just really quick before I kind of get deeper into we created a calculator that helped people, decide before you get here, and the mistakes that I've made that cost me over $4,000. This is going to help to design your life, understanding, making sure you have all your check and balances so you do not make any mistakes and end up tripping up. So check out our Move to Thailand calculator. It is a game changer, and we'd love to know your review, on it. So yeah, so I was saying to myself, like, like, what are the plans? And I didn't have the plans, on losing my job and the financials. So I found myself scrambling. So I highly suggest make sure you understand, like, if you have a remote job or company, whatever, like what you're going to do, right? We don't want to never talk about the backup plans because life doesn't work like that, right? It's not straightforward. Now, another thing that come to mind is savings, right? Savings, right? Like, luckily, I had quite a few $1,000s saved, thankfully. But in this sense of environment, most people don't. And then how much should I have saved, right? So how can I know how much I have saved if I haven't lived in the country based on my expense, what I'm spending a month, what's my lifestyle like, how much do I need? So I was kind of naive, to be quite frank with that. And I found myself like, damn, now I'm living on savings, no job, trying to find another remote job that I could stay here because I don't want to go back home. That wasn't the plan. The plan was to stay here long term. And I found myself like feeling, screwed in sense. So luckily, I had savings. I figured things out and I decided to do my own thing, which I highly recommend people kind of like, finding what you're really good at and turn that into income, per se. So definitely make sure you have proper savings. But the main thing is understanding what your lifestyle is going to look like, right? That looks totally different for everyone. Now, let's talk about what I've done differently. I would have made sure I had insurance. Yes, I would have made sure I have insurance because unfortunately I was in a accident, unfortunately, and that cost me a few $1,000s. Is it cheaper than the States? Yes, but it still can cost you a few $1,000s to get surgery. I had to get stitches. Checkup, and I was shocked with the price. I'm like, why I was shocked? It's not just the cost was a shock. The shock that is, how did I end up in this position now? I somehow have to be fronting all this money out of my savings, right? Because, hey, I've lost a job and then now I get into an accident and we're not immortal. Things happen, right? And it doesn't have to be something that if you've done, you got into like a motorbike accident, car accident, whatever the case may be, God forbid. You have to understand you are responsible for yourself. So make sure you get yourself insurance in case anything, you don't find yourself feeling vulnerable or having to do these fundraisers, which you can do your research with people come here overseas. They have to do fundraisers because they don't have no type of insurance. And I'm shocked. Most people I come across here as grown adults do not have any insurance. You know what they say? Oh, the cost is affordable. Okay. Yes, it's affordable until you need some serious surgery. And then guess what? They're not going to treat you. You find yourself stuck. Like, hey, you ain't leaving here. You have to pay. I would have made sure I've gotten myself insurance. And I hope this can be, helpful to someone that's looking to move here and making sure. Another thing is, what I've done differently, I would have more bank accounts. I find myself in a vulnerable situation back home. I was trying to make payments with the bank from the States. They froze my card and blocked my card saying based on fraud. There was no fraud on the card. I was trying to make a few transactions that I get it, right? Is out the norm activity. But why wasn't there a system where that they reach out to me, which normally they were good at? But for some reason, they automatically assume, oh no, it's a fraud, and they cancel the card. So guess what? I had to use my savings, but I'm like, no, I need, no, sorry, I had to use my credit card, but I'm like, I can't live on my credit card. So you know what? I had to fly back home, which cost me a lot of money. But this was unexpected. And guess what? If I didn't have anything saved, I would not be prepared for it, right? I hope this can reach whether it's one person and understand if you do not have your stuff figured out, it's not going to work. Let me say that again. If you do not have things figured out in a way or having some safety net, it's not going to work out the way because it's not going to be straightforward. If this was any valuable to you, give us a like and subscribe, a share, and hopefully see you soon in the land of smiles. Bye for now.